Hey there guys, this is Flamzeron, aka YouTube's Tasuke, and it's time for another video game review, because this was the latest game I had played before Fighters. This was sort of my in-between piece here, but this game I'm going to be talking about is Super Mario Odyssey for the Switch. Yes, I jumped on that bandwagon being a Mario fan, and I liked it. I'll go into more details as we go onward and stuff, but this is actually probably the first Mario game I've finished by myself. Certainly the first one I've ever reviewed. I don't know if I've ever talked about any other Mario game, but any other Mario game that I'd actually seen to completion, I played with my sisters because they were the ones who quote unquote owned the Nintendo systems. That was kind of how our family worked a little bit. The NES, Super NES, and the N64 were technically my sisters. Obviously, they're mine because I took them. But yeah, I'm gonna talk about this little gamey game because I played it to completion for once, all by myself. Are you proud of me, sisters? They don't care. But yeah, this is the latest main Mario game, and this is the first one that I've played in a while. I skipped through Galaxy and Galaxy 2, though I did play 3D World. I don't know if that counts as like the Wii U one. That's sort of a different beast on its own. I did also play 3D Land, so in terms of like super modern Mario games, I've only played a little bit. There are some stuff that this game took from 3D Land and 3D World, not much as far as I can tell. It's mostly in line with the Galaxies and the N64s and the Sunshines and whatnot, but it did take a little bit from 3D World. The main thing I noticed was when you crouch, you can actually move while crouching. As far as I know, that's a 3D Worldism. I don't know if that was in Galaxy or not, but it's in 3D World, and that's how I knew it. And 3D Land 2, I think. But yeah, so a brief summary of the story. You're Mario, as you are, and Bowser's trying to marry Peach, and he's at it again and stuff. And he's got his nice tuxedo, and he's got Peach in a nice wedding dress with a tiara and rose and a bouquet of flowers. Mario comes in, tries to save the day. Bowser beats him up with his fancy hat. Mario loses his hat and it gets destroyed. Then this other hat named Cappy comes in. He's like, "Yo, dog, help me get my sister, girlfriend, or whatever tiara thing back." I don't remember what their relation exactly is, but this magical hat helps out Mario and turns into Mario's hat. So that's kind of where the whole hat thing comes in. So, and then it's off to the other worlds. Each world is sort of has a little bit of a wedding theme in it. Like there's a food level that's sort of like the wedding stew. There's like a forest level to get like flowers for the wedding. There's the beach level is where like the sparkling water for like the drinks come in and stuff like that. So there are little things that make everything kind of come together. And all the otherwise the levels are pretty varied. Like I said, there's a beach level. The final level before the actual like final boss area is like a samurai Japanese place, and that's probably one of my favorite levels. Besides the I like the I'm a sucker for desert levels. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while, but I really like desert levels, and that's like the third world you go to technically, because like the first one obviously you go in, which is sort of like a tutorial world, and then you also have like the sort of your first time out of the shallow end, or first time getting into the water level, and that's a really pretty level. I like that one. I guess that's also sort of a tutorial level, but then afterwards you have this like cowboy desert level, and that one's kind of fun. It also feels pretty large. I don't know exactly how large it is, but it's definitely pretty open. And that's probably the one thing that this game sort of has going for it above the previous mainstay Mario games, is that it's structured like, you know, your regular like main Mario game, like Mario 64 and Sunshine and whatnot, but it feels a lot larger. Not really open world, but it definitely feels a lot larger. And at first it can seem kind of overwhelming, but the way the Power Moons work, the Power Moons are like your stars and shine sprites and whatnot. It's kind of structured mostly to where they kind of lead you in the right direction, kind of like what Mario Sunshine did, where like they show you where you need to go after you select which one you're going for. Because I remember in Mario 64 and Mario Sunshine, you had to pick which like task you want to do when you go into like the world. Here they don't give you a like a task selection thing. They just kind of lead you in the right direction. And even then, you can pick up power moons on your way there, and I actually kind of like that. It kind of streamlined everything. It felt very sort of organized and whatnot. Like I felt like it would be pretty. I don't want to say easy, but very manageable to actually try to get all the power moons of one level. And I think I might have for a couple places. Obviously, some they don't show up on your list of what you need to get. They show you how many you need to get, because what you need to do is you have this thing called the Oddysey, which lets you travel to the different kingdoms. It's like a giant like machine with like a hot air balloon, and what you need to do is get power moons to like fix the balloon on it. And when you go into a level for the first time, they underneath like in the top left corner that you'll see, you will have like they'll have like little circles that get filled in with power moons as you progress, and that sort of lets you know how many specifically you need. It's not like activated based on which ones you get or what order you get. You can get like some of the ones that are like kind of hidden or just sort of out there, and it'll count. You can even have some like show up after you get everything. Like if you're done and like you just want to kind of play around the level again, then you happen to get like, let's say you have like 10, you need a 10, and you have the 10, you find an 11th, like it'll show up in there, and that's kind of cool. It lets you know that there's more you can do with each stage, and that's pretty lit, dog. So it's, I think even though it seemed kind of big at first, and honestly it did kind of seem a little overwhelming, I'm thinking like, oh, this is probably going to be a game that I just won't finish. But I was actually surprised that I actually was able to finish it. I was actually kind of proud of myself, because again, like Mario, I never really played too often, and honestly I never really finished too many of them on my own. Like, and the ones that I did finish, they were with my sisters or with like a friend or something. So this is like the first time I've actually finished a Mario game like by myself, because back then, you know, I was kind of playing I wasn't very good at games anyway, so I rarely finished games, but also I was playing like other games besides Mario, or along with Mario, I should say, that kind of thing. Other standout levels, obviously New Donk City is like the big one that everyone kind of talks about. That's kind of a cool level. They have like a little jump rope mini game that's kind of fun. I might actually play a little bit and do that, because I'm probably going to play a little bit after I record this. I'm just recording the audio right now. I'm going to do the video later. But yeah, that's a pretty fun level, getting the band together and seeing Pauline and hearing that awesome song. I believe she's voiced by Kate Higgins and is sung by Kate Higgins. That's kind of cool. I think that's a really catchy song. I really like it. And there's a Japanese version as well. I don't remember who the singer for that one is, but I assume it's also whoever voices Pauline and that Japanese version. And it was kind of cool to sort of see Pauline sort of come back. It makes me kind of wonder if she's going to be in like Mario Tennis or something. It makes me kind of wonder how she's going to look, because obviously they could give her like a suit, but I feel like it might be better to give her that dress. Obviously she's going to be kind of stylized anyway. But I just think kind of like the history makes me kind of wonder what sort of history. It's sort of like a throwback to history. Like, I guess kind of sort of like what I talked about in the Sonic Forces episode, in terms of like one of the things I liked about Mario growing up was like the cartoon and like the different stories and whatnot that you could do. And like there's like some videos that are, you know, kind of poking fun at Mario, the source material, but also are sort of giving a slight story to Mario. And that's kind of something I like about the Mario franchise. Sort of like I'm interested in like the story aspect of the Mario games, kind of like how I'm interested in the Sonic story. And so I'm kind of interested, sort of like, I know there's a movie that's supposed to be coming out that Shigeru Miyamoto is kind of helping with, and like it's an animated movie, so it's probably going to look really good. That makes me kind of wonder sort of what kind of history and sort of like stuff's going to come up, because we haven't seen Pauline in like a very, very long time. And I'm talking like she was like one of the first Mario characters, along with Mario, aka Jumpman, and the Donkey Kong man guy thing. So for them to take her to like just damsel in distress to a town mayor or a city mayor, like, you know, that's a pretty big leap. It makes me kind of wonder what she was up to all this time. But that was a fun scene, and that also shows off the little like thing where you go into the pipe and it gets all 8-bit and stuff. And depending on what kind of costume you have, because you can wear costumes in this, it'll show up. I think it's kind of like East Othenfelgana, where you have to have a full set for it to actually show up, and if you don't have a full set, or if you're mix matching stuff, it'll just show like a generic like Mario. I believe I'd have to check this, which I'll probably find out when I actually play, maybe. As you saw, I'm currently rocking the samurai armor and the cowboy hat. I think Mario looks pretty lit that way. What I'm thinking about doing the original colors Mario, where he has the red overalls, which is kind of weird because it's the color of the overalls is sort of like a weird orange, and I find that kind of strange. Or to me, it looks kind of orange. It's like a weird, like, not red. I think what they're going for is like it's like a lighter red, almost closer to orange or something. I think what they're going for is going for like a sort of an older looking color, I believe. I'm guessing. That's my impression. I don't have any way to like really fact check that. I'd have to look at like old Mario material to really truly kind of understand. Though they also give you the Mario64 model, which that's kind of cool. That comes in during like one of the later parts of the games, where like the post game, where you end up going to Peach's castle, and the power moons turn into like the N64 stars, and even when you collect them, it makes the do 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 do, like it makes the N64 Stargate song. And that was a nice little throwback to the past, and it kind of makes this game feel more like a sequel to Mario 64 rather than just like the latest Mario game. Like, it feels like it's trying to sort of be a throwback to Mario 64, which Mario 64 was really fun, and definitely a lot of fun to play. Though I will say that like this might be my favorite 3D Mario game. It's kind of a tie between 64, Sunshine, this, and 3D World and 3D Land. The 3D World and 3D Land are kind of like, again, different sort of beasts, whereas these games, like, those are almost more like the traditional side-scrolling Mario formula, just in a 3D environment with 3D movement, because it's very point A to point B, whereas this is a bit more open. It's more about like exploring and doing little fun puzzles and tasks and whatnot, and about like different kinds of like 3D platforming and whatnot, which 3D World and 3D Land have, but again, it's structured more like a from the beginning, get to the end kind of thing, like point A to point B, like I said. But yeah, it was kind of cool to see like the old Mario 64 model doing off of the new Mario moves and stuff, and you can even mix match that stuff with the different stuff, so it'll probably look a little weird, but you can do it. I think you can probably get it through the amiibo. The only Mario amiibo I have is the Golden Mario, and so because of that, I got that costume, and that's kind of cool. But yeah, I don't know. I might kind of play around with the costumes. I haven't gotten all of them, but might kind of play around and see what I dig and what I lack Mario in. For the main game, I just had him in his regular outfit, unless I had to like have him in something else for whatever reason. Like, because they have some doors where you have to actually get the costume. Like if you're a samurai, like, oh, you need to dress up like a samurai to get this. And I tried doing that one. I couldn't actually finish it, but because it was too hard. But yeah. So to get back to the story, you end up going through and catching up with Bowser, and on the way fighting his wedding planners named the Brutals, which is this group of evil bunnies. You beat them up. My favorite is the girl. She's cute. I want to do things to her. But they're sort of like the alternative or secondary antagonist to Bowser, or for Bowser or whatever. Obviously against Mario, but you know what I mean. And I thought that was kind of an interesting approach. And their boss fights were pretty fun. It was a nice sort of like change of pace. The Bowser fights were pretty tough, especially the final one. This game overall wasn't really that difficult. There were some hard parts, like the final Bowser fight. That was tough, mainly because I was messing up my jumping timing, and also just there were just some different stuff. It would take me a little bit to kind of figure out how to beat a certain boss or how to approach a certain boss. I had watched Oni Plays their playthrough, and I'm currently watching Game Grumps play through it. Obviously, I'm watching Game Grumps after I'd finished it. I kind of started while the game was sort of new, so it was still kind of like new. But even then, even then with Oni plays and both of them, like I sort of listened to it. I didn't actually watch it because I kind of wanted to figure things out for myself. Or I watched a little bit, but it had been a little bit, so I hadn't really digested what to do. But I knew what was, so basically what I'm trying to say is I knew what was coming, but because of how I was watching it, I didn't really know how to approach it because I wasn't really paying attention to how they did it. I did see the whole dragon thing and, you know, what you do with Bowser at the end, because after you fight Bowser, because in the game there's this mechanic where you throw your hat at certain enemies and you can turn into them. Like in the very first one, you turn to a frog and you hop around. You can turn into a Goomba. You can turn into like one of those hammer thrower peoples where they basically just hop to Kingdom Come. You can also turn into one of the suited men in New Donk City. But for the final one, they have you turn into Bowser, which I thought that was actually really cool. Because I feel like, you know, a lot of Mario games, like just straight up Mario games, don't always give you the chance to play as Bowser. I know Paper Mario Thousand Year Door did it, and you know, obviously there's Super Smash Brothers, so that's not really a Mario game. But this was kind of cool to do it, and I felt like I was actually playing as Bowser, and the way Bowser probably would have been played in his game. And I thought that was actually really cool. I thought it was really fun to sort of like mess around and play as Bowser. But and then after that, the new game, or the post game, I should say, starts up. I've seen some images that you can get Yoshi. I haven't played too much of the post game. I was kind of waiting to do the review and then touch the post game to really kind of, you know, do stuff. But you know, I'm currently, as you saw, in the first post stage area. I think there are multiple, which is why I say the first, which is Peach's Castle, which is sort of like a reimagined throwback to the N64 Peach's Castle. And even when you go into Peach's Castle, it does the dun, 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 and that's a nice touch. And I really like sort of the structure of and the post game kind of almost feels like sort of a in between adventure, like sort of like a chill adventure, almost like I'm watching like a Mario cartoon or a Mario movie or something. Which, you know, I know that we're getting that animated one. It makes me want to watch the Super Mario Brothers Super Show, which I haven't watched in years. My favorite episode's always been the pizza episode. Anyway, off track, but I don't know, like just there's something about this final place that kind of makes me feel good, makes me happy. Because it kind of is. I feel like it's sort of giving me sort of like that story thing that I was talking about, in a weird, like, indirect way. Like, I know it's not going to make hardly any sense, but yeah, that's sort of where I'm at right now. I haven't done any more post-game stuff, but I'm going to try and do more. They want you to get a lot of power moons, which I know there's this one spot you can get them, because every level has a shop, and they always give you one power moon that you could buy, and I always bought mine with the coins that you get, which are now your lives, which that's kind of cool. I'm not real big on the whole live system in these kind of games anymore, because I feel like I feel like I don't really understand the punishment behind it. Like, oh, you messed up too many times, so now you have to like not try again. Like, well, okay. You get a game where like, okay, well, you're not really teaching me anything. You're just kind of delaying my my next try, because like it doesn't really give me any chance to like really try things, especially if you get to like a interesting part. Like there's this one world where there are a couple of worlds where it's all like, oh, Bowser like comes in like, oh no, the Oddysey is damaged, we have to like find some way to repair it and stuff. And the first one is like this tropical, like dark looking level where you actually lose Cappy for a little bit and you have to go get him. And that was sort of a fun way to kind of to sort of like test the player's abilities. And also like another one where you go into like this medieval castle tower level where you fight a giant dragon boss, and that was actually really cool. Like he looks sort of out of place, but he looks really cool. I think that actually his out of placeness works really well for this game. But other than that, those are really the only hard parts I can really think of. The dragon wasn't really that hard. Like I'm trying to think of like, because I didn't really die like a million times to like certain spots besides the final fight with Bowser, and I died a few times to the one where you lose Cappy. That was pretty tough, and I can't think of any others. I'm sure I've died a few times before, but you know, I felt like it was a pretty standard difficulty for a Mario game. Makes me wonder if I would actually fare well against the older ones as well, since I know they were made like using different a different like setup, even different engine, like for Mario 64. So, you know, who knows? It might be a little tougher than I remember, but we will see. Let's see. I think the music was also pretty good. I think I've mentioned that already. Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else I can bring up. Oh, one thing that I noticed, even though this is the Switch is like the gimmick of it is like, you know, being able to take a console game on the go and like pop it into the docking station, play it on the TV, take it off, and then take it with you like really seamlessly. I felt like this game was kind of pushing the Joy-Cons a little too much. Like when you start the game and you can't even turn it off, it's like you should try playing with the Joy-Cons, because if you flick it, you can make Cappy run and stuff. And that's one thing I'll give it. If you can like kind of shape, you can kind of like make Cappy sort of like go at different angles, and there's one where you can throw him up or throw him down, and that's kind of cool. I don't really care too much. I mainly played it when I was playing it on the TV. I played it with the Pro Controller, which I used for like near the end of the game, and for a little bit during the Cappy isn't available right now, please leave a message section on that tropical level, or like that weird sort of like jungly forest level. I don't know how it helps to describe it. But I mainly played it in handheld mode. And again, this is going back to the Pokken tournament thing, where like I felt like this game being handheld really, or having a handheld capability being really useful, because I could take it in my bed with me and just play it while I slumber, or while I'm about to slumber. It made it a lot easier, because you know, I don't always have like a lot of time to just go down to my game room, quote unquote, and by game room I mean basement, and play a game on the TV, and just like sit in that couch or the love seat rather. We have a couch, but where I sit on this love seat, and play that for like a few hours. Though when we get to fighters, I'm gonna tell you, oh yeah, I did that. It's kind of more like Berseria in a sense, but yeah. That's probably really the only complaint. I don't really feel like the game was really unfair. I felt like this game made me sort of... there was a time where I didn't really like slippery controls and platformers, and now I feel like I actually kind of prefer them, because I sort of like the shakiness and sort of like fluidness of it. I kind of like that Mario's a little slippery, where you know, there's a little bit of that risk of falling, but it also gives you the chance to like really like practice the moves. And I think that's one of the reasons why I really liked this game called Vex on the GameCube, which I recently got on PS2 and the original Xbox as well to further complete my collection. And the PS2 version, it doesn't feel nearly as slippery, whereas the GameCube version is pretty slippery, and the Xbox version's slippery as well. I don't know how slippery it is compared to the GameCube version, but you know, I kind of like sort of like slipperiness in my 3D platformers. Obviously, there are some exceptions, like Banjo-Kazooie. Oh, that reminds me of another one, because I just thought of like the backwards flip. This is kind of minor, but the crouch jump, where you crouch and then you do the jump. I for some reason I remembered it being like you didn't go backwards, like you just like went upwards. I don't know if I'm just misremembering things, or I'm probably more than likely misremembering things. But I felt like I remembered it going like straight up or something. But in this game, you go backwards a little bit when you do the flip. And I mean, it makes sense because you're doing a backflip. So obviously you're going to go backwards a little bit. And it's definitely useful. But I feel like, I don't know, if all you're trying to do is just go up. I think part of it might have been because I was so used to doing it against the wall. So obviously it was going to look like I was going straight up. Because in theory, if you're right behind a wall, you probably can't do a backflip really easily, because you'll hit your head and back and booty on the wall. That was probably my only thing. That's a really, really minor thing, and I actually kind of got used to it. I don't know if that was a Galaxyism or anything like that. And obviously 3D World and 3D Land don't have it, because when you crouch and jump, you just do like a little blink thing. You kind of do like a little partial jump. But you know, besides those, and even then, the crouch jump is not really a complaint, as more as it just like a point of interest. The Joy-Con thing was a bit annoying, I think. I got annoyed how they were... I think telling us that we could do that is fine, but when we turn on the game and we see it every single time, that's a little annoying, and it lingers on there for a while, and like you can't even like you can't like press past it. Like you literally just have to wait for it to stay there to like go away, and that's kind of annoying. Like using the Joy-Cons is kind of cool, but like I'm not going to use it every single time. Speaking of which, the only other controller I used was actually the GameCube controller, because I played this game when that thing came out for when the Switch got that update where it could actually use the GameCube controller adapter from the Wii U, and I hooked it up and I tried that. It took a little bit of time to get it working, but when I did, it actually worked really well with this game. It actually worked perfectly. And the only game it didn't really work too well that I tried was Minecraft. I didn't try it with Breath of the Wild, so we'll see how that goes if I ever try that. There might be some issues. I imagine if they make it to where you can use a Wiimote, having the GameCube-styled Classic Controller Pro will probably help. But, you know, we shall see. But, yeah, overall, it was a pretty dang good game. I really enjoyed it, and I would definitely recommend it if you like Mario and platforming games. I think this game will definitely sort of like raise some eyebrows, and hopefully it'll get more companies to or more developers to try making this kind of platforming games, because I feel like it's sort of a missed genre. It's been a while since we've had one. I saw online that Legend of K game is getting a Switch version. That's like its anniversary release, and it came out on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and Wii U. It's cool that it's coming out on Switch, so we're getting another one. But I would love like another Banjo-Kazooie. I know that's only going to be on Xbox or whatever, but you know, if they just want like another Vex would be awesome. I kind of miss this genre. You know, I don't think they're going to do another ukulele, but you know, and even then, that one's not really that slippery. But yeah, this was a pretty good game, and I would definitely recommend it. I would probably give it, I'm gonna say a 9 out of 10 maybe, or maybe an 8 out of 10, somewhere on there, because like, you know, I enjoyed it pretty well. Like, it's obviously not like super perfect, but it's definitely probably one of my favorite Mario games. I don't know how I feel about it in regards to my other contenders for Mario games in general, because I really like Mario 2, and I'm nostalgic about Mario 3, and obviously the first one. But I think my favorite of the 2D Marios is probably Mario 2. But we shall see. I actually recently got Super Mario World, like an actual copy, because the Mario All-Stars for the Wii didn't come with it. Because I know there was a version that packed both games into one, and even had like an updated Luigi sprite. I got the regular version where he still kind of looks like a green Mario, but that's okay. I think there's actually a costume for that too in this. The only other thing I didn't really get a chance to try, because I didn't really have anyone to do it with, was the 2-player mode where someone plays as Cappy. I think that would be kind of interesting to sort of try out. We'll have to see kind of, you know, how that goes if I ever get a chance to try it. You know, who knows. But yeah, this was a pretty dang good game, and if you have a Switch, definitely give it a try. You will definitely have a fun time, especially if you like these sort of like platformy games, or if you're just looking for a game to kind of go back to, you know. It's a pretty lit game, dog. It's pretty lit. Alrighty then, this is Flames Around, aka Tasuke, signing out. It's a pretty dang lit friggin' good game. See you later.